Little delay, I think everybody or most of you are here. Thanks for coming to hear what we have to say or show you, mostly to the pictures, the fun we had in Mauritius. Mauritius, which is at the far end of the map, almost outside the map. Why Mauritius? It's double malt. Nice juicy prefix, zone 39. I think we're not so rare, 3B9KW. Kazu is also working, but pretty much it's a lot of fun, definitely more fun than Brazzo had in Cape Verde, because we are in t-shirts and Bermuda shorts and flip-flops. So that's already good because it's in November, it's summertime on the southern hemisphere. It's a small island, I think, from the north to south of Mauritius. It takes an hour, hour and a half with a car. Airport is on the south, our QTH was on the north. It has a lot of heritage from Indian and Arab colonizers. Recently, in recent times, it was colony of France, and most recently, well, it's independent country, but the heritage of the diplomacy is from UK. So good luck with getting the licenses and all that stuff. It's extremely inefficient. 4 hours ahead of UTC, so the contest starts at 4 in the morning on Saturday. Not the best time. And yeah, if you're renting a car, you have to drive on the left side of the road. Not that problem. So zooming in, yeah, it's really far away. So there is nothing to the south of us. I mean, everything is a long path. Even north of us, everything is more or less to the north. Not so much. So building the antennas is not that hard. We just point them to the north, almost to the north. But everything is at least 2 hops away. So because everything is to the north, we were looking for a location on the island that is open to the north, where is the seawater, Indian Ocean. And the one that where the arrow is pointing, it's called Roche Noir. It's a small area with mostly villas to the north, and like a beachfront. So zooming in, this is how it looks like. So this location was found by Olaf G0CKV, who is our main organizer, who was coming to this island for 17 or 18 years with his wife for vacationing. He tried to play with the radio from a hotel, and of course that didn't work because of all the lights and speakers. And what he had to do, he searched, he drove through the island and found this location, this QTH, which is called Villa Ilo. It is, I think, one of the 100 places you have to visit in Mauritius. It's beautiful. So the way to reach the villa from the rest of the island, so it's island on the island, you are just driving on this causeway bridge, and this little villa, it's kind of like luxurious for the Mauritian standard. But it is really, what's magical about it, it's the island on the island. It's around at 360 degrees is the water. Really good thing is, if you can see in the background, there is a reef maybe 1K away. That's where the water breaks. So the rest of the lagoon is pretty quiet. The tide is no more than like 50, 70 centimeters. Makes it fairly ideal to put the antennas. To the left of this picture is the north-facing side. And it's really open to the rest of the world. We use the left side of this, or the north side of the island, to place all our antennas, and some of the rocks on the side. We couldn't get elsewhere because there are some fishermen's, but it's pretty much open to put the antennas right next to the water or in the water. And that's ideal if the water is salt water. So, first time they operated from this island was actually not the island, it was on the other side of the causeway in 2014. They couldn't rent the villa, it's pretty high demand. So now this, from 2019 minus the COVID year, all of G0CKV is renting the house in advance so we can get the access to it 1 year in advance. It's slightly outside the season, so November is not the high season, but it's perfect for CQ worldwide. So we don't have to deal with the heat. The heat really starts later in January. Normally, there is no monsoons, there's not much of a rain, although we get like every 1 or 2 days, there's like a tropical shower for an hour or two. Not a big deal. The house. So what you're looking at, this is the patio in front of the house. Inside there's like a big, huge kitchen, living room and 4 bedrooms, so I don't know, between 6 to 8 people can sleep here. This beautiful area is where we put all of our equipment, so it's pretty ugly, useless right now. The really good part is it's right in front of us. This area is where we put the antennas. The heat is not that bad, but between 12 and 4 in the middle of a day, it's a little bit hard, so that's where we take the break. We start really early, like 6 or 7 a.m., set up the antennas. Around noontime, we take the break for drinks, for lunch, swimming outside, and then around 3 or 4, till 6, till the sun sets, we can still continue working. Yeah, there's some other amenities to explore. Most of the villas in this area, you can rent a rent. It comes as part of the rent a cook. So there's ladies who come. We have in this villa 2 ladies. They would cook for us, prepare the food. All we have to do is just purchase the rice and whatever else, meat in the local grocery stores, supermarkets, and they would prepare the food. Normally they serve that food, but since we're always working, there's no point for us to like have all the ceremony of the food serving. So we'll just go finish with the antennas, wash our hands, grab the food, and quickly eat and go out to work. But it's really nice. Primary reason is, or beauty of this QTH is the waterfront. So that's where we put the antennas. Everything what you're looking, this is really direction of the 330 degrees. Europe and North America are exactly in the same direction. Yeah, so getting to this island, you have to spend a lot of time surviving, so I'll let Darko say a few words about it.
Survival. We have arrived to the island after 10-hour flight from Istanbul. So can you imagine 10 hours in the airplane and then you arrive to the paradise? And we realized that we can, in local grocery, we can buy the locally produced beer packed in 0.7 liter, then a lot of kind of wine, usually from South Africa and also from Europe. They providing really fresh food every day. Population is 95% Indian, but Indian, they speak French and they driving on left side. So this is the mix of the culture of UK, French, Indian, and they have really delicious food and all beverage we can provide at the local groceries, also at Super U, which is big market where we providing our support. Danny mentioned that we rent the villa for a run station, and another villa was about 300 meters overseas, or 500 meters if we walk. Another location for inbound station, where we rent 4 rooms with the swimming pool and also front beach, beautiful sites where we set up antennas for inbound. Local food was excellent, cheap. We rent 2 vehicles, so we were very mobile, traveling almost every day and providing whatever is needed. We cook our own food at the inbound location. Danny mentioned on run station, they have 2 persons already preparing food and cleaning and everything. I need to. Click. Yeah, we were able to buy local fish at local market, then a lot of curry specialties, everything they coming and getting from India. So, hardware. Danny, your turn.
Okay, the primary reason was to build the antennas. So, similarly to Bratso, we also had to carry 1 to 2 bags of equipment, but we were a little bit lucky. Most of our equipment, the heavy gear, is already stored. Patrice 3B8FA helped us over the years to store most of the gear at his QTH in his garage. That gear is like spider beam, fiber masts, bunch of coaxes, ropes, some of the tools. So all the heavy stuff that really would, other than radios, it's already stored. So that saves a lot of time to, or a lot of room for us to bring the gear. So we just bring the computers, amplifiers, and the radios, headphones and things like that. So we pretty much on Saturday, a week before the contest, Patrice will unload the gear, we'll stage it there, and just count and prepare the order in which we will build the antennas. And the antennas is something that takes the most of the time in this trip. So normally it takes us 3 to 4 days to put antennas for the 6 bands, and this time also for the in-band. In-band villa was available 2 days before our arrival to the run QTH. But just quickly going over the schematic. So the view to the villa, everything, I think this is the right view to the north. So most of the antennas are facing slightly to the northeast. For the high bands, over the years we tried different things. And last 3 years we settled on the pair of VDAs. So 2 elements, driven and reflector, and 2 of those antennas for 10, 15, and 20. I don't know if you can see, 10 closest to the house, 15 and 20 meters to the right. It's just because of the spacing in the room, that's how we arrange them. They are fed in a phase. There's a stack match, and we can switch one or the other. That's mostly for reception, for the noise. We could occasionally just flip one of them towards Japan, towards 45, 50 degrees in the morning, and work Pacific and Japan. And then eventually, right after like 9 or 10 in the morning, we go back and full throttle towards Europe and North America later. We also, for the upper bands, we added vertical dipole. It's a little bit hard to see on the schematic, which is like omnidirectional vertical that really helped us to work VKZLs and later in the evening, in the afternoon, South Americans, all 5 of them. For the low bands, we had a grandiose plan which kind of like worked for 40 meter. It's not on a picture, but we started and we put 4 square. Milan YT7KM was the primary designer and implementer of that idea. It worked well, but then we had some mishaps, and eventually we ended up using the single element ground plane that was located on in-band as our CQ, as a run 40 meter. That affected our in-band, or the score contribution of the in-band. For 80, it's an 18 meter spider beam mast with just inverted L. On 160, also 18 meter vertical with the top hat umbrella for loading, and bunch of radials on the bottom on the ground. K9AY loop is also there that helped us for receive. It kind of works. It helps us to receive on the low bands, but it's not that great. We tried beverage on the ground. It's too good of a ground, so it doesn't work well. And there's really not much of a room to put good receiving antenna on the low bands. So we apologize for not hearing you on the low bands that well. Also, another problem with low bands, to listen to the Europe, we're going through the African equatorial area in all the QRN and thunderstorms. So that makes things also difficult. We hear much better the Pacific and Japan side on the low bands than Europe and North America. On the in-band, we had like a Ranco 403A Brody 223 Yagi that we assembled and placed as a multi-band in-band antenna. So we assembled it on the ground and also erected it. This is the high tide, so the antenna looks, not the antenna, but the mast is in the water. This antenna, we just put a rope on a reflector on the tail end of the antenna, so we could swing it in the morning to Japan and in the evening or in the afternoon to Europe and North America. About 90 degrees of rotation. And yeah.
Was it okay?
This antenna worked great. The only problem is later on we had to sacrifice in-band because at night we mostly were running on 40 from this location. But it worked well. I think before the contest, Darko even skipped the trip to the beach so he could just spend the whole day working the X's. All the Japan that didn't call us later in the contest. Thank you.
2,000 contacts in one day. They went for swimming. I had all my life spent in Africa, and I was not happy going on the travel, that one day travel I spent to stay on inbound location, and I made one day out of contest, just testing, 2,000 contacts for one day. So that was... sorry?
Any comparison to the standard VDA?
Hard to say. We really didn't compare them at the same time. This antenna was mostly used for DXing. It was used for in-band. I think in-band didn't have a problem to get through and work the multipliers. But it takes a time to assemble it, but really getting it up in the air, and it's definitely more stable than VDAs. However, for Mauritius, for this a short duration of a contest, VDAs are also perfect because it's only a week that they have to survive. No. This antenna was brought back. VDAs are disassembled because it's a rental property, so we have to take everything down right after the contest.
Everything is in Europe.
This antenna is in Europe. All the VDAs and all the wire is in Mauritius. As Darko said, he had a lot of fun using this antenna, DXing, while we had fun swimming with the whales that day.
If you asked about the performance, maybe I will vote for this antenna. Especially, it's easier to set up the 3 single band systems. So the time we spend to set this antenna is less than we spent for VDA. So if I vote, I will vote for this antenna. That was my opinion, my observation. So this antenna, good performance, easy to set up, easy to rotate. Easier to rotate than if you have 2 VDF, you need to play with 2 antennas, especially if you have wind, and we will talk later about what we survived, the Becky cyclone, which hit our expedition. So that is another story.
What about the setup with SWR? Immediately start to work, or just tuning the down elements a little bit longer? Or short?
I think Ranko did a lot of preparation testing in Montenegro, so it was working out of the box. Okay, let's move forward. Low band verticals, so there was a trick also that we learned over the years, the spider beam poles, because of the difference between, even though it's a tropical place, temperatures don't go over 32, 3 degrees, but at night they drop to maybe 15, 20, and the sun is really strong, so the antennas do heat up. So we learned not to assemble them right away. We pre-assemble them, expand all the sections of these spider beam poles. Then we let it reheat, cool down overnight, and then extend them and tighten all the elements. For the low band, for the 18-meter poles, we would assemble only upper 9 meters, and then we would put the antenna vertical. This was 160 setup. Put it against the tree in 160 or in 80-meter case, the other pictures for 80, against these poles that mark the boundary of the villa, and strap it, and then we would just take the remaining lower 9 meters of the pole. And then the matching network and the radials would be put at the end. Actually, they did not affect, the tides did not affect these antennas. They were not close to the water, but we had problems when the radials went into the water or when the tide went, so now we're keeping the radials out of the water. That was one finding that we figure out. The SWR went crazy on 160. That was before much closer or almost in the water. So 40 meter, as I mentioned earlier, was assembled, created in the in-band villa and in the in-band location. Then we had to carry it over the street. I don't know, I'm not going to play the video, running short on time, but all the 4 antennas were pre-assembled fully, even with radials, and then we brought them to the run location. The in-band location is right at the background of this picture. This is my favorite picture. This is a true teamwork. So we had to put the antennas up. There was a thin rope between all of the elements to keep them equally spaced when they're up. And it was a little bit windy that day. This was really just 2 days before the contest. So we had to walk the antenna and just place it around the rock. And the feed point was right above the rock, so maybe 2 meters above the ground.
An antenna
So guy wires, guy rope on 3 points.
We use bamboos like 2 meter high, and then we fix the bamboo and the fishing pole was connected with the bamboo, which is 2 meter above the water, and then we fix that with the rope. And we was digging and we set the
I think, so we had a rebar, like a 1 meter rebar that we got from a local.
hammering in the sand and trying to keep the distance with a lot of rebar around the small area. There was at least maybe 30 pieces of rebar, like 1 meter and 1 meter long, and we used big hammer and to fix in the sand. And this is the only reason how we fix. And there was a lot of rope around, and antenna was connected with the rope on 2 levels to keep the distance due to wind. So that was very hard work due to wind and teamwork, keeping all time almost 10 people busy to fix all 4 antennas.
Next time take some bags, put the sand in, and let the bags go into sand. This is the best way of fixing it.
I mean, it could work. We just got creative. So another place to anchor all the rope is actually all these rocks. It's a volcanic rock. It's pretty solid. Where we had a chance to put it in the rock, we tied the ropes around the rock. For stuff that goes into the sand, we had a pretty long rebar and it was stable. I mean, it didn't have to survive 1 year. It's really a week or 10 days max. So we never had a problem of any of the anchor points moving or losing the antenna because of it.
It's very, very easy and cheap work. You put the sand in the bags, and you let the sand drop in the ground, and you cannot take it anywhere else. And you just fix the rope. So
Yep.
that was the best way, and you save a lot of, let's say, weight if you are traveling.
Yeah, I mean, everything is local. So the rope is there, the rebar we didn't bring, the rocks are there permanently for multiple hundreds of years. So it works. I mean, securing the antennas wasn't the problem. What was the problem? Walking on these rocks. So this volcanic rock is extremely sharp. So it can, most of us pretty much throw away the shoes that we bring there. And they're slippery when they're wet. So I was telling the guys just to be careful when walking on these. Whatever is black rock, that's a volcanic sharp rock. I think this is just a scene of people taking all the 4 elements of the 4 square, crossing the street, following the safety rules. I think somewhere there in the distance is our run QTH. I think it's true profile. I think it was 3 radials per antenna. They were like elevated, so it was good enough to move. Building the VDAs, it's a little bit easier, but the problem with them, they require a little bit more room than just plain verticals. So we assembled each of these VDAs in the front patio. We kept everything out of the sand, trying to make the sand not go into the antennas. Especially after the contest, we also had to wipe the antennas so that we can use them next year. They don't get destroyed by the sand and salt. Putting each of the VDAs, then placing them in the air one at a time, testing, making sure it works, bringing them over the wall and just placing where they have to be placed, like on that previous diagram. This is a picture, I think, of 20-meter VDA. It's fed at the front side where the driven element is, on the back side is a reflector, and the coax we try to keep as perpendicular as we could to make sure it doesn't affect the pattern of the antenna. And I think it's anchored, these VDAs are anchored only at one spot and maybe one thin rope to keep the structure because it starts to bend and looks really weird. But they were more or less very solid. Since we had in-band, we didn't rotate them. So these were fixed to the 330. Yeah, Ranko, go ahead.
I will say a couple of words about the team because probably you know most of the team members, and I was very pleased to be invited to join the team. The team consists of from operators from different countries, Olof, Danny, me, Misha, Kristens, Thomas, then Zoki, Milan, Ranko, Girts, Alex, and Žika. From Serbia, UK, Sweden, US, Bosnia, and Latvia. Yeah, Montenegro, of course. Yankee Lima 3 Juliet Alpha, Yankee operator, Yankee Lima 2 Kilo Lima. Great operators. One, I hope you can recognize who was calibrated for a liter of vodka, but even after 1 liter of vodka, he was performing excellent. Milan Yankee Tango 7 Kilo Mike, he was the person who suggests that we use 4 square for 40 meters, and he prepared on his location, and he packed and bring to the island. YU9DX and YT1 Hotel Alpha. Žika and Zoki, great operators, already members of YU5 Radio and Yankee Tango 5 Alpha contest team. YU6 Delta X-Ray, Alex, also part of their team, also great CW operator. Kilo X-Ray 7 Mike, you already knows that Danny was years and years member of 3 Bravo 8 Mike. Me, I operated maybe last 20, 25 years. I work overseas and operated a long period of time in Djibouti, Juliet 2 8 Alpha Alpha, then in Somalia 6 Oscar 3 Alpha, and I also spent 5 years in Baghdad. So Sierra Mike 0 Charlie X-ray uniform, or Thomas, and last and one of the best 4 Oscar 3 Alpha. Before the contest, I went to Montenegro to help Ranko to pack all his equipments, amplifiers, and everything. We traveled from Montenegro to Istanbul, and then from Istanbul to the island. And G0 CKW, the great and main person who gave us opportunity to join 3 Bravo 8 Mike team. He's our legend, one of the best designer of the antenna, and always helpful with advice how to have also the fun time. Having fun time, yes, we spent a lot of time enjoying good drink, cocktails, swimming on the pool, going on the beach, sand beach near our location. So we went also to downtown, which is excellent, beautiful, with nice restaurant, good food, good drink, and always traveling to far location to making fun in the contest have also another side to enjoy in the island and enjoying in friendship. We have possibility to buy beautiful t-shirt, and we make couple picture. Malibu Beach Patrol team. Not so fun. Danny?
Yeah, I think Darko was telling you how we were enjoying, and that was in a big comparison to Bratzo's Cape Verde expedition. So you've seen what we enjoyed. But of course, there was a problem. When we arrived on the island a week before the contest, we got the news that there was a cyclone forming in the Indian Ocean, somewhere off the coast of Australia, and it was heading our way. That's usually how they go. So every morning, every evening, between the breaks, we were watching the local news, Windy app, trying to look at the different models, where it's going to hit. So it was about to come close to us. It was going right over 3B9 Rodrigues. So Kazu 3B9 KW was giving us a real-time updates what's happening there when it went a day before ours. It was supposed to hit us on Wednesday night, Thursday morning before the contest. There were 2 models. One was saying if it hits north of us, the wind and the waves, the part of the cyclone would be directly going to us. That was the worst case scenario. The other one was going over the south. I was worried not so much about the wind, but the swells. This quiet lagoon would turn into, it would have much bigger waves, and the fixed antennas would probably snap at the bottom. And that means not the end of that of this last year's contest, but also future years, because it's not easy to bring all the fiber poles. So we decided on Tuesday night, after testing all the VDAs, to take them down, put them on the ground, secure them, wait until Thursday morning. If it gets better, put the antennas up. We were lucky. The cyclone went to the south of us, so the tail end of cyclone was not so windy, but it was just rainy. But you know, you're like shirtless at 27 degrees, it's not a big deal. You're just wet. But the problem of this thing was that we only had, instead of 3-4 days to put the antennas, test them, we only had 1 day, 1.5 days. Couple of mistakes were made. 40-meter antenna, I think water leaked into the load balancer, eventually overheated. We lost the antenna. 80-meter, we never tested RF, so it was going into 40 and 20. We didn't put enough chokes. So all that testing was pretty much not done, and we had a couple of problems during the contest. But we still managed to pull it off, work 48 hours. That was the primary reason. So what we literally brought to the table, 2 tables. The big table is where we had 40 to 10. And the table behind was 160 and 80. It was just arranged because of the ease of connecting the filters. So 3 Elecrafts, 2 FTD X10s, 2 flexes. 1 flex was on the in-band station and PGXL. The rest of the smaller amplifiers, SPEs, were on the main run. Since there are only 5 circuits in this villa, we're running really everything at the medium range for SPE, like 1K, 1.1. Just to make sure we don't have any power outages inside the house. And of course, for the interference, we use high power, low power filters. I think on 40 and 20, we put some stubs to minimize the intrastation interference. The score, the operation. So each band had like a team captain, which means he kind of like takes care of that band setup for the station. But we had the schedule, but the schedule was mostly guideline. It wasn't like strict, so we had problems with 40-meter antenna in the middle of a contest. 3 of us went fixing it, somebody else takes over. So it is, primary operator contributes the most, but we kind of like rotated on a loose schedule. 11 of us, we try to get over 10,000 Qs, mostly with wires and that 1, 2, 2, 3 aluminum antenna. The target was 12,000 Qs, our score from 22. We barely made it. This was, of course, before UBN. We lost quite a bit. At the end of the contest, we managed to get back into the top 10. So 23 were outside top 10. This year, we were again, as expected, beaten by North Africa, beaten by East Coast US, and of course, Caribbean. So we cannot really compete, but for us, just getting over 10,000, close to 12,000 Qs is a big success. What we're we're competing against ourselves in the past. So this was our second best score. The best year was 22. This was 23. I think we had a problem where Europe just was working US and nobody was turning antenna to south. But again, with only wires working in flip-flops, so barefoot, we made almost 12,000 Qs. What next? Next is this year. Because of number of operators, we're scaling down operation to multi-2. Well, we're going to have third station for multiplier and in-band combined. We're going to try to improve 40 because it's still a good band. It's almost a money band. Put a passive vertical. We have tough time being heard on 160 and 80 by the local skimmer, 3B8GL, that for some reason doesn't detect us well. So we're going to put our own skimmer and see if that helps us to be heard on lower band and get some CQ runs. Mostly there for us, we make between 50 and 100 Qs on 160 and between 400 and 600 on 80. And that's primarily for multipliers. We're just not getting any CQ runs out of it. And of course, we're hoping there will be no cyclone this year. So some of you worked us, so thank you for all the QSOs, and we hope you're going to work us again this year. If we have time for any more questions.
What about the radios?
So I personally, I'm going to tell you offline about Flex. K3S is a great radio for carrying, but I love FTDX10. It really positively surprised me how well it hears and how well it performs. But I think we could have brought bigger radios, but we opted for a smaller radios just because radios, computers, monitors, that's what we carry in our bags.
How is the reception of the vertical of the 160 and 80?
Pretty bad. There's a lot of QRN. Our primary problem is African tropical region. All the thunderstorms are giving us a lot of trouble on 160 and 80. It's basically fighting the QRN.
So far I remember working you, let's say, 24 from D4, I think we managed from 80 till 10 or 160, if I'm not wrong.
I think so, yeah. We had 5 bands.
The signal was not so bad. But, what was your feeling like working European or other things? Easy to work or
They're easy. So
was very good?
we hear that we are louder, but we don't hear that well. Other people are telling us you're loud on 160, you're loud on 80. But what we do, we hear a lot of QRN, so only bigger stations go through. So yeah, use your amplifiers, please, when you work us.
Let me add a little observation at the end of the contest, because I understand that equipment is personal preference. So maybe Dennis, FT10, my preference is K3, especially for low bands. Flex is fine, but we had issue with Flex because of bad switch. And sometimes in that environment of the expedition, you really need to care for every detail if you have like Flex equipment. Good switch and everything need to be tested. Probably not well prepared to use the Flex, but Flex is fantastic. Before the contest, we spent a lot of time using the Flex. But the contest that happened, that switch gone, and we need to stop operation with Flex on inbound because we moved one K3 on inbound location and continue to use inbound for 40-meter operation. Because of the cyclone, Becky bring a lot of rain, a lot of wind, and we use Comtech switch, which was connected to dummy load, and we insulated with a plastic bag, which melt, and due to heat, we lost dummy load, and we lost 40 meters for square systems. So then we set only vertical antenna on inbound location, and we lost about 4 or 5 hours on 40 meters band, moving run station from run location to inbound location to continue 40 meters operation. That's why we do not use the second Flex on inbound location. But I vote for K3, especially on the lower band. Ranko used the CarNet, the system which he in Montenegro paid. And when we arrived to the island, we went to the office with custom personnel. They checked the list of all equipments we importing, and of course on exit they check on all list that all equipment will go outside of the country. So no issue and no problem. They were very quick, very helpful, and very kind. So we do not have any problem. Power? Electric power is UK system. You need to use some kind of adapter. But as Danny mentioned, we use not maximum power because we don't know exact the quality of the wiring on the villa. So we try to use the, let's say, minimum of the power needed for operation, not to burn electrical wiring system on that. Yeah, no problem with the power all time.
So the voltage was pretty stable. It's 240 UK system. I think it was a bigger deal of getting enough adapters from US and European, and the adapters that have to be also grounded. The other question, I think, for the equipment, most of our gear, Ranko's gear is like visible, larger boxes, more protected. So of course they were more visible for the customs. The radios, I think, if we have them in the regular 23 kilo bags, nobody was asking on the way in, on the way out. So invisible. No, even on the X-rays, they're fine. So they were not asking any of the questions. They were much more problematic during COVID years to have the vaccines and all that stuff. That was a much bigger ordeal. For the equipment, not a problem. Getting the license, that's a much longer, extremely slow bureaucracy there.
I will add only one small observation operating on 40 meters band. 40 meters band has only like 20 minutes to work Caribbeans. If you lost that 40 minutes, it will be very difficult to catch some important multipliers. So that is very unusual when operate from one part of the world that you have a special time windows to work some area in limited time for that area. So that was our experience from first day, and then second day we tried to get more multiplier from some area which we lost the first day because of an unusual condition. Yep, we tried.
Everything is
We tried. But, you know, interesting is that a lot of stations from Caribbean operating low power. So yes, we need to use the best propagation time to catch that station, or we will not hear them later.
Because they work in Japan.
Yep. Yep.
Actually, our antennas are fixed to the north, so really going through the South Pole is I think, it doesn't have any effect. So everything comes from the north, maybe from the side. Actually, the hardest direction was getting to South Americans. It's really 90 degrees of our antennas. There are not so many of them. They don't call, they don't search in pounds. So getting to them, it's a little bit harder. But other than that, it's north is like a shorter long path. The rest is like long path. So I think minimum is like 2 hops. However, VUs are really loud, all 5 of them.
Okay, thank you.